Good afternoon, NWS Revolution Universe. This is your NWS Head of Talent Relations, Michael Cole, and I got a very special guest with me here today. Please introduce yourself, sir. Hello, this is your NWS World Heavyweight Champion, your Board of Directors Chairman and co-owner, soon-to-be CEO, Chief Executive Officer, Mischief Mikey Miller. And today, me and Michael Cole are going to give you this past Thursday's Revolution Impact Review. Take it away, Michael Cole. Thank you, Mischief Mikey Miller. This past Impact's show was hailing from the OVO Hydro in Glasgow, Scotland. The commentators for the show were Joe Garley and Dan Lambert. And the show and the show opened for a breakdown of the match card as well as highlights from the up for the as well as segments from the upcoming as well as promotion for the up for tonight's pay-per-view. Okay. The first and we showed there was highlights of Scott T.C. Gale and Jaden Miller going on a tour of Glasgow, Scotland. Okay, the opening match was for the NWS Tag Team Championships as Mischief Mikey Miller and Someone Asked Me Iowa with General Manager Don Callis in the corner defeated Atiba and Bruce Wayans. And by the way, Atiba and Bruce Wayans are the JCW Tag Team Champions. They currently are competing on JCW. Let me see, they're members of Juggernaut Championship Wrestling. And it was nice for the MWS to invite them here. So the Glasgow crowd, so this is a good back and forth tag team match. The Glasgow the Glasgow crowd was electric as the MWS Tag Team Champions walked out under the smug guidance of General Manager Don Callis. Atiba and Bruce Wayans used their explosive athleticism early on to isolate Mikey Miller, keeping the championships on the heels. However, a timely distraction on the apron by Callis shifted the momentum entirely. The champions utilized ruthless, underhanded tactics to wear down Ravens in the closing moments. Atiba made a hot tag and cleaned house, but a blind tag allowed Someone Asked Me Iowa to catch him off guard. Mischief Mikey delivered a devastating illegal blow behind the referee's back, setting up the Someone Asked Me Iowa for the pinfall victory to retain the gold. And still MWS Tag Team Champions, Mischief Mikey Miller and Someone Asked Me Iowa, Chief of Staff Ira Schrin. What do you think about this match, Mikey? Why do you guys always gotta use dirty tactics? I'd like to know why. Well, Michael Cole, my good friend, because that's the name of the game. If you're top heels here in the MWS Revolution, whoa, Mike, come on, Mike. Let me perfectly explain that to you, Michael Cole. If you're top heels in the MWS Revolution, like me and Ira are, and then sometimes you gotta use dirty tactics in order to make a point, and that's what me and Ira did. You see, Michael Cole, that is what's called smarts, and you gotta use smarts and illegal cheating sometimes to win. Just like I cheat off my math test, just like I cheat in high school at 16 years old, because I'm Mischief Mikey Mueller. I'm the king of Mischief, Michael. Now me to read you the next match. And also, there was more highlights of Scott Casey Gale and Jaden Miller from early on Thursday and Friday, touring Glasgow, Scotland. And now it's match number 2, and for the NWS Hardcore Championship. Okay, it says NWS Chief of Staff Someone Asked Me Iowa with General Manager Don Callis in his corner defeated Shane Mercer, Stephen Flo, and Willie Mack in the Fatal 4-Way Hardcore Championship match. Oh, by the way, Yeah. So this is how it goes. This was absolute car crash chaos. This was absolute car crash chaos from the opening bell because it was a hardcore match. Weapons were introduced immediately. Willie Mack brought the crowd to its feet with a stunning steel chair assisted cannonball in the corner, with Shane Mercer showcased his terrifying strength by lifting both Stephen Flo and Willie Mack simultaneously for a massive slam. The NWS Chief of Staff, someone asked me Iowa, my tag team partner, and one half of the NWS Tag Team Champions, along with me. So, yes, the NWS Chief of Staff, someone asked me Iowa, spent most of the match strategically avoiding the heavy hitters and letting the challengers destroy each other. After Flo hit a spectacular top rope maneuver for on Mac for a table on the outside, Shane Mercer looked poised to win. However, someone asked me Ira sneaked back into the ring. Don Callis attacked Shane Mercer with a screwdriver as Ira blasted Shane Mercer with a low blow and rolled him up with a handful of tights to escape Scotland with the championship instinct. Winner and still NW's hardcore champion, chief of staff, someone asked me Iowa. That guy is a genius. He's one half of the tag team champions along with me, and he's still the NW's hardcore champion. And someone asked me Iowa, IRA, is proving why he is the king of hardcore. As a matter of fact, Michael Cole, Iowa is the true king of hardcore. Now take it away, Michael Cole. Your thoughts on this match? Well, it is hardcore. It is a hardcore championship match. So pretty much anything goes. And when it's a hardcore championship match, anything is legal. Match number 3. Sean Clary defeated Nigel McGuinness, a highly anticipated dream match, and a masterclass in technical wrestling. Nigel McGuinness targeted Clary's arm and shoulder early on, dissecting him with a vintage, precise submissions that silenced the, the Wash's OVO hydro crowd. Wow. Clearly, fueled by the hometown European crowd, fought through the pain. The two traded blistering chaos, and I should say the Scotland crowd. The two traded the blistering chops and near falls in a dramatic final stretch. McGuinness attempted his signature jawbreaker lariat, but Cleary brilliantly ducked underneath, caught McGuinness off balance, and hit his finishing maneuver to secure the biggest pinfall victory of his career. Winner Sean Clary. And this was a great match. This was really a really great match. I mean, Sean Clary, this guy definitely knows how to put on good wrestling style. I mean, he means business. What you think, Mr. Mikey Miller? Oh, it was a brilliant match, Michael Cole. A very brilliant match. 100% it's in true wrestling action. Oh, okay. And then, footage from earlier. Glasgow, Cross State. Footage from earlier today. Joe Gowley and Dan Lambert showed the footage of Scott T.C. Gale. Whoa, take it away, Michael Cole. Okay, footage from earlier today, where commentators Joe Gowley and Dan Lambert showed footage of Scott T.C. Gale and his 14-year-old son, Jaden Miller, touring Glasgow, Scotland. Glasgow, Scotland. A stylized graphics packages flashes across the screen. Footage from earlier today. The camera cuts to a bustling Glasgow street. The weather is classic Scotland. Brisk and slightly overcast, but the energy is high. Scott T.C. Gale and Jaden Miller are walking side by side, both wearing warm jackets. Jaden has his NWS Intercontinental Championship probably over his shoulder, and his United States champion as well. Drawing steers from passing locals. Scott, well, welcome to Glasgow, son. Welcome to Glasgow, son. Scott Kisagel says, architectural capture, incredible history, and apparently a lot of people who want to challenge you for that bout. Jaden laughs, adjusting his title. Let them try. I told you, Dad, a world champion travels the world. Look at this place. The buildings look like castles. Mountains of highlights. Glasgow, go Cathedral. Scott takes a photo of Jaden posing with his championship bout in front of the massive ancient stone cathedral. Jaden is beaming, holding a peace sign. George Square. The duo stands near the statues. Scott attempts a terrible Scottish accent. Scott attempts a terrible Scottish accent while reading a plague, causing Jaden to double over laughing and hide his face in his hands. Buchanan, Buchanan Street. A lively bagpiper is playing for a crowd. Jaden walks up, listens intently, and drops a generous tip into the piper's case. The piper nods respectfully at the double champion. Exterior Ashton Lane Day. The footage moves to the cobblestone alleyway of Ashton Lane, illuminated by fairy lights. Overhead, Scott and Jaden are walking out of a local shop. Jaden is holding a fresh can of Iron Brew. Jaden, okay, you said it. I had to try it. Well, Scott Kisgill watching closely. Well, what's the verdict from the NWS Director of Operations, Jaden? It tastes like liquid bubblegum and orange soda. It's awesome. Scott, told you so. Come on. We got a busy night ahead, but today was a win. Scott throws his arms around Jaden's shoulder, pulling him into a quick side hug as they continue down the cobblestone street, completely in the element and having a blast before the chaos of wrestling world catches up to them. Exterior, Buchanan Street. Day footage from earlier today continued. Scott and Jaden are still laughing about the unbrew as they walked past the high-end shops of Buchanan Street. Suddenly, the crowd parts and the upbeat mood instantly shifts. Walking toward them, looking smug and completely owning the sidewalk, are NWS World Heavyweight Champion Mischief Mikey Miller, Scott's 16 years old, Scott's other adopted son, and NWS Chief of Staff Ira Schrin, also known as Someone Ask Me Ira. Both Mikey and Ira are draped in gold. Mikey has the World Heavyweight Championship over his shoulder. Ira has the MWS Hardcore Championship around his waist, and both are carrying the respective MWS Tag Team Championship belts. Jaden steps up immediately, getting defensive as director of operations, but Scott puts a hand out, stepping forward to eye down his own son, Mikey. As Scott, voice draping, serious. Look at what the cat dragged into Glasgow, into Glasgow. Mikey, Ira. I didn't think the tag team champions were scheduled for this media tour. Mikey, smirking, leaning on his world title. We wasn't scheduled. Oh, we wasn't scheduled, Dad. But when the World Heavyweight Champion wants to see Scotland, the Chief of Staff makes it happen. You see, while you and Jaden are out here playing tourists, Ira and I are actually running this territory. Ira, stepping up, holding his titles high. That is correct, Scott. As Chief of Staff, I ran the numbers. Your little family vacation is costing the company money. Meanwhile, Mikey and I are generating revenue as the most dominant tag team champions in NWS history. Jaden, Hey, watch your mouth. I'm the director of operations, and I hold two titles of my own. You talk to the co-owner with some respect, or I'll book you in a hardcore defense tonight that you don't want that you won't walk away from. Mikey steps between Ira and Jaden, locking eyes with Scott. The tension of Buchanan Street is 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 palpable. It's palpable. Pass 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 the bay, start, and pulling out their phones to record. Mikey, let him talk, Ira. Jaden can make all the matches he wants, but he doesn't control his show this coming Sunday at NWS Heatwave. Mikey gets right in Scott's face, tapping the world heavy title belt. Mikey, whispering sharply, "Last man standing, Scott. You wanted, you wanted, you wanted to take this title from your own flesh and blood. You wanted the ultimate test. On Sunday, I'm not looking at you like a father. I'm looking at you like an obstacle. And I promise you, when the referee counts to 10, I'll still be the world champion. And you'll be face down on the canvas." Scott doesn't flinch. He steps even closer. Face Scott doesn't even flinch. He steps even closer, his face into Mikey's. Calm, cold, and deadly serious. "I adopted you, Mikey. I taught you everything you know about this business, but I didn't teach you everything I know. You think that world title makes you a man? This Sunday, I'm taking you to school, and I won't stop until you can't answer the count. Enjoy the belt while you can." Scott and Mikey lock eyes with an intense fury stare out. Ira and Jaden are barking insults at each other in the background. The footage dramatically cuts to black, flashing the NWS Heatwave. Exterior, Buchanan Street. Day footage from earlier today continued. The deadly serious tension on Buchanan Street suddenly takes a bizarre, chaotic turn. Before Scott can even react, it says, before Scott can even react at his own warning, Mikey and Ira exchange a mischievous glance. In a flash, Mikey grabs one of Scott's arms and Ira grabs the other. With pure tag team coordination, they pull the NWS co-owner back backward right onto their laps as they drop a collaborative crouch. "What, Scott? What the Mikey? Ira, let go of me." Ira throws a beefy. Ira throws a beefy arm around Scott's neck to hold him in place, while Mikey whips out his smartphone, extending his arm high for the perfect angle. "Say cheese," grinning from ear to ear. Mikey says, "Say cheese, Dad." Ira, "Smile for the chief of staff, boss." Flash, flash, flash. The camera screen captures the chaotic visual, a furious Scott Gale trapped in the middle, framed perfectly by a smirking Mikey, holding the world title and a beaming Ira. Jaden looks on, completely bewildered for a split second before the director of operations instinct kicks in. He lunges forward, grabbing Scott by the jacket and yanking his dad forcefully out of their grip. "Jaden, get your hands off the co-owner. Are you two completely insane? This is a public street." Mikey and Ira stumble back, laughing hysterically as at the sheer disrespect and psychological warfare they just pulled off. Mikey tucks his phone into his pocket, still still chuckling as he adjusts his World Heavyweight Title Championship. "Mikey, just making memories. Jaden, we'll see you later. Scott, don't forget to look at your phone. I'm tagging you on Instagram." Ira, excellent strategy, champ. Our work here is done. See you Sunday, Scott. Try to stay standing. Jaden doesn't let them say another word. He firmly grips Scott by the arm, turning him around and steering him away from the scene to prevent a full-blown riot on Buchanan Street. Jaden, "Come on, Dad, let's go. We're leaving." They aren't with the paperwork. The camera catches one last shot of Scott, completely disheveled, straightening his jacket and staring back in absolute disbelief as Mikey and Ira high five in the background, completely in control of the mind games, heading into the weekend. Joe Garley says Scott and Jaden will be arriving soon. Now, Mikey, why? Why do you gotta make Scott sit in a lap when him and his son are touring Scotland? What's the deal with that? Because Michael Cole, that's the name of the game. You see, I love humiliating Scott Casey Gale. No, Scott Casey Gale is my adopted father. I love Scott Casey Gale. I really do, but I also love humiliating him and embarrassing him because that's what I'm all about. I'm the king of mischief. So me and Ira figured we'd teach Scott a lesson. Besides, Michael Cole, Scott Casey Gale is my lap warmer. And he has to sit on my lap whenever I tell him to, because those are the shadow rules, Michael Cole. You of all people know that. Okay, Michael Cole? Now continue. Yeah, I'll continue. And then later on, present time. Present time. That's Dennis Town Bob at the restaurant Dennis Town Barbecue. Scene start. Inter, in, interior. Dennis Town Barbecue night. The restaurant is buzzing with the low hum of dinner conversation and the rich, smoky aroma of wood-fired barbecue. At the corner booth, Scott Casey Gale, NWS Corner, and his adopted son, Jaden Miller, 14 years old, Director, NWS Director of Operations. With his Intercontinental United States Championship, they sit across from each other. In the center of the table are two massive, in the center of the table are two massive platters, piled high with glistering sauce dripping ribs and mountains of golden French fries. Jaden's two championship bouts rest safely on the bench seat next to him. Scott takes a bite of a rib, nods approvingly, and uses a napkin to wipe his hands. Scott, I'm telling you, Jaden, nothing beats the food here. After a chaotic week of running a promotion, how are the ribs? Jaden, mouth slightly full swelling. Unreal. Honestly, I think the sauce might be better than the last place we tried. Scott, high praise from a double champion. Speaking of which, you've been carrying a heavy load lately, managing the match cards as director of operations and defending those two titles. You're doing okay with it. Jaden grabs a handful of fries, dripping them in barbecue sauce. He looks at his belt and then looks back at Scott. His expression serious but confident. I'm doing great, Dad. It's exactly what I wanted. People doubted me because of my age, but holding the Intercontinental and US titles proves I belong here. And having you in my corner makes it a lot easier. Scott, you earned every bit of it, son. Just remember, being a leader in MW's revolution means making the tough calls, even when the locker room doesn't agree. But tonight, no bookings, no promos, no title defenses here at this restaurant. Tonight, we just finished this whack of ribs. Jaden, deal. I get the last few fries. Hey now, Scott. Hey now. I may be your dad, but I'm still the co-owner. We split them 50-50. Jaden smiles, grabs another whip, and digs back in. Scott laughs, raising his glass for a quick toast. Scott Casey Gale and his 14-year-old son, Jaden Miller, are shown arriving at the arena to a huge pop from the Scotland crowd. Now that was a great father and son moment. I always love watching a father and son moment, a mother and daughter moment. Family spending time. Fathers spending time with their sons, or mother. That's just great to see. See, both parents should always spend time with their kids, because it's a great moment. It's always wonderful to enjoy a father and son moment. Meant, and I'm a father myself. What do you think, Mikey? Well, Well, as cute as that was, Michael Cole, why didn't Scott Kesey Gale and Jaden invite me? Where was my invitation? Huh? And why did he invite the chief of staff, Ira? You know, that is a violation, Shin, in the MWS rule book. And I didn't read the entire MWS rule book. And the 50-50 owner, the owner, chairman, CEO, Scott Kesey Gale, and my 14-year-old brother, Jaden Miller, the director of operations, they should have invited us because of 50-50. We share everything. Michael Cole, me and Scott share everything. And part of the partnership deal is Scott, if Scott Kisegeo, if the, takes out, if Scott Kisegeo, if the rule is if Scott Kisegeo goes out to breakfast, lunch, and dinner, then he must invite his 50-50 business partner and an owner to go with him. Those are the rules, Michael. But Scott Kisegeo and Jaden Miller didn't do that. And that is a violation of MWS. That's protocol. He violated protocol. So I'm gonna have to. So and you know what that means? Scott Kisegeo has to sit in my lap for not inviting me to dinner with him and Jaden Miller. That was a breach of protocol, Michael Cole. A breach of protocol. So Scott Kisegeo, before our match tonight, just for not inviting, just because you and my brother Jaden, your 14-year-old son, did not invite me and Iowa out to dinner this past Thursday on Revolution Impact, you have to sit on my lap, Scott Kisegeo, and you have to sit on Iowa's lap as well, because I would definitely said it's a breach of protocol. So you two have been fined. So the two of you have been reprimanded and fined. And yes, Scott, you will indeed be sitting on my lap for not inviting me out to dinner. However, you did make up by because you and Jade, you and Jaden did make up for it by inviting me and Iowa to both breakfast and lunch. And you and Jaden have to invite me and Iowa to dinner tonight as well, before the pay-per-view gets started. And there will be footage of that as well. Okay? So I just wanted to let you know that, Scott. But it was a great tender moment. Now, let's go to match number 4. Brian Theory with MWS Director of Operations Jaden Miller in his corner defeated Matt Cardona. The self-proclaimed indie god, Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder in WWE, received a massive reaction from the Glasgow faithful, but the mood quickly sours when Director of Operations Jaden Miller marched out to ensure Brian Theory we had every corporate advantage. Cardona wrestled a smart match using his veteran instincts to keep the powerhouse Theory off balance and nearly scoring the win after a radio silence. The turning point came when Cardona went for a top rope maneuver, but Theory moved out of the way. And then, however, Mike Cardona was able to deliver a massive elbow strike and elbow jump, but Fury did recover to intercept Cardona and flattened him with a brutal high-impact finishing move to, to steal a massive victory for the corporate faction. Winner Brian Fury via pinfall on Matt Cardona. This was a good match. This is a really, really good match. I like Brian Theory. I don't have anything against Brian Theory. I think he's a good wrestler. And I am a huge and I am a huge Matt Cardona fan. I like him as Zack Ryder in WWE. Woo woo woo. You know it. Bro. Hell, bro. I say bro a lot. So me and him have a lot in common. And just like and I can't believe I'm saying this. You know, I guess I have a lot in common with Diamond Dallas Page because he used to say bro a lot too. And I think I have a lot in common with Vince Russo. Hell, he is the investor of JCW Lunacy, and he is the head writer of JCW Lunacy. I personally love to see Vince Russo here in the MWS Revolution. Can you imagine if Vince Russo showed up in the MWS Revolution? Can you? That would be amazing if he did. Yes, yeah, yes, it would, Mikey. But anyway, it was a good match, and Brian Theory has. I mean, he's on a roll here in the MWS Revolution. He is definitely making a name for himself, and I think it's time for him to receive a shot at single championships because he has proved it and he has earned it here in the MWS Revolution. Now, match number 5, NWS Intercontinental United States Championship match. NWS Director of Operations Jaden Miller with Scott Kisagale in his corner defeated Kerry Morton, fresh off abusing his corporate power in the previous match. Well, I don't think Jaden Miller was abusing his corporate power, but Director of Operations Jaden Miller pulled double duty to defend his 2 championships. Kerry Morton brought the incredible babyface entry. Well, technically, he's not a babyface. He is a heel in JCW, taking the fight right off to taking the fight right to the champion and exposing Miller's lack of ring regardless. Oh, I don't think he has lack of ring regardless. I mean, Jaden Miller has proved he can wrestle. Okay, compare exposing Miller's lack of ring regardless compared to his administrative skills. Morton had the match won after a stunning sequence of aerial maneuvers. However, Kerry Morton then got in Scott Kisagale's face and started mocking Jaden Miller and started mocking Scott Kisagale. However, the numbers were game proved too much. Scott Kisagale then defended himself. Scott Kisagale repeatedly hopped onto the apron to cause chaos, defending himself and fracturing the referee's attention as the official was distracted. Jaden Miller, Jaden Miller did not use a foreign object because Kerry Morton was about to use a foreign object, so Kerry Morton was about to use a foreign object, but Jaden Miller ducked and took the foreign object away from Kerry Morton. And so Jaden Miller used a foreign object passed by Gale, striking Morton squarely in the jaw. In the jaw. Jaden Miller made the cover to retain both the Intercontinental and United States Championship in a highly controversial fashion, cementing dominant court night for the front office. And then Jaden Miller got on the mic and he said he only did that to stick it to Mischief Mikey. Miller to stick it to his 16-year-old boy, Mr. Mikey Miller, and to show Kerry Morton who's boss because Kerry Morton was insulting the Scotland crowd. He was insulting Scott Kisagale's family, and he was acting all cocky and arrogant. So Jaden Miller gave him a dose of his own medicine, if you ask me. And then Jaden Miller, and backstage in the office, Jaden Miller put Scott on his lap for the harmless regular, and backstage, Jaden Miller put Scott on his lap for their harmless, regular annual Sun Defada pep talk. Jaden keeps Scott on his lap until the main event. Jaden Miller, sorry, Dad, but you know what it's time. Sorry, Dad, but you know what it's time for. Our regular annual family Sun Defada talk. Jaden pulls Scott closer to him. Scott, we and Jay and Noah have to have crystal clear focus tonight. The the odds are stacked against us, and we need to show the mastermind we don't fear him, and we will show him why you can't kill what won't die. Scott Casey, you are 100% right, son. We will beat them with every single thing we can, and we will, son. And this coming Sunday, I will shut Mikey up once and for all, Scott says. Jaden, good, Dad. Now stay put, Dad, until the main event before Mikey and Iowa show up here and make you sit on their laps again. Scott, absolutely, son. Call main event. NWS Championship. Rod McGovern with General Manager Don Callis and Assistant General Manager Paul Heyman in his corner defeated Nick Nemeth. defeated Nick Nem, no, Nick Nemeth, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler in WWE. Yes, Nick Nemeth. The OVO Hydro absolutely exploded for the arrival of Nick Nemeth, who looked hyper focused on capturing the top prize in NWS. Standing in his way was the dominant Rob McGovern, flanked by the Ultimate Powerhouse Alliance of General Manager Don Callis and Assistant GM Paul Heyman. Nemeth put on a masterclass performance, hitting a spectacular danger zone and executing a series of near falls that had the entire arena convinced a title change was imminent. The champion's championship pedigree and his toxic support system proved insurmountable, with Nemeth firing up for a final blow. Paul Heyman took the referee's attention, allowing Don Callis to slide a crowbar into the ring. Rob McGovern avoided a superkick, used the weapon to blindside Nemeth, and flattened him with his signature finisher, the F5. Rob McGovern scored the free count, leaving the crowd completely deflated as the Callis Heyman regime continues its stranglehold on the undisputed championship. Well, it was a good co-main event, but why does Rob McGovern gotta cheat? I mean, come on, why couldn't he just win fair and square? See, whenever you have Don Callis and Paul Heyman in your corner, you know it's not going to be an easy win. You know it's not going to be a fair and square win because Don Don Callis and Paul Heyman will do anything to make sure their clients retain the gold and to make sure their clients win. And you of all people know that, Mikey. Yeah, so Michael Colum, yes, so what? Like you said, Robert Goodwin has smarts. That is a smart way to win. And with Don Callis and Paul Heyman in his corner, it guarantees you a secure victory. Speaking of, I am Mr. Mikey Miller. This past Thursday in Revolution Impact did have Don Callis and Paul Heyman in my corner. And then backstage, Irish Chief of Staff Irish Shin shows up and pulls Scott off of Jaden's lap and drags him and tells Jaden Scott has other lap duties, which he did. Be- and then Chief of Staff Irish Shin brings out Scott Keesegale, joins Joe Garley and Dan Lambert on commentary, and makes Scott sit in his lap. And the reason why Iowa did it is because Scott Keesegale did not invite, because Scott Keesegale and Jaden Miller did not invite me and Iowa to dinner this past Thursday in Revolution Impact. So Scott Keesegale had to face the consequences, and Iowa ensured that Iowa made sure Scott Keesegale would face the penalty and the consequences for not inviting me and Iowa up to dinner with him and Jaden, and because that's why Chief of Staff, someone asked me, Iowa is the Chief of Staff, Michael Cole. And this is what he says: Scott, you forgot you have lap duties today since you were so occupied sightseeing with your spoiled brat son, Jaden. And yes, my 14-year-old brother, Jaden, is indeed a spoiled little brat. Then main event number one. Yeah, and Scott says, yeah, whatever, Iowa, whatever. Main event, NWS World Heavyweight Championship, NWS Board of Directors Chairman and co-owner, Mr. Mikey Miller, with General Manager Don Johnson and Assistant General Manager Paul Heyman in my corner, defeated Cowboy James Storm. And a massive main event, NWS Board of Directors Chairman and co-owner, Mr. Mikey Miller, pulled double duty to put the world title though heavily on the line. Cowboy James Storm arrived to a thunderous reception. Should, looking to looking to strike a massive blow against the corporate regime. The veteran cowboy wrestled with raw passion, taking the fight into the Glasgow crowd and defying into the Glasgow crowd and defying the overwhelming numbers stacked against him. Back in the ring, Storm looked seconds away from a historic victory after hitting a picture-perfect last call super kick. Just as the referee's hand was about to strike free, Paul Heyman pulled the official out of the ring. A furious Storm leaned over to the ropes to confront Heyman, which gave Don Callis the, the which gave Don Callis the opening to blindside the challenger on the apron. Shaken, Storm turned right into a desperate low blow kick from the chairman, Miller, capitalized hitting his signature finisher to hit him, and I did, and I hit my signature finisher, the boardroom, the boardroom drop, and I pinned him 1, 2, 3. Yes, my finisher is the boardroom is the boardroom drop and the rock bottom. I call it the Mikey bottom. So I delivered the rock bottom on Carby James Storm and pinned him 1, 2, 3, pinning the veteran. The night concluded with the entire corporate and the night concluded with the entire corporate faction. Mr. Mikey Miller, Don Callis, Paul Heyman, Robert Govern, one, and Jaden Miller and Jaden Miller standing on the and Jaden Miller was standing on the entrance ramp, looking in disgust. You know, as we wait, and then Don Carson, Paul Heyman, Robert Government raised their arms in victory. And to a chorus of bulls from the echo go through Scotland. And then Scott elbows Ira in the face, knocking him down once to get ready for the second main event. Second main event. 8-man tag team elimination street fight. Scott Gale, also known as Scooter St. William, Jaden Miller, Jay Lawson, and Noah Higgins from Dominant Studios defeated the four masked individuals with General Manager Don Callis in the corner. Second main event, 8-man tag team elimination, street fight. Scott Gale, Jaden Miller, Jay Lawson, and Noah Higgins defeated the four masked individuals with Don Callis in their corner. In a shocking turn of events, the polarizing Dominant Studios collective Scooter, Jaden, Jay, and Noah marched to the ring in absolute deafening ovation from the Glasgow crowd. They faced a dangerous, anonymous threat in four masked mercenaries, backed by Don Callis. The street fight rules meant pure mayhem, with trash cans, candlesticks, and tables cluttering the ring. Elimination 1. Noah Higgins caught the first masked individual with a diving crossbody through a table on the outside, eliminating both men simultaneously and a high stakes sacrifice. Elimination 2. Jay Lawson fell next. Jay Lawson fell next after a brutal double team maneuver from the remaining masked men on the steel ramp. Elimination 3. Driven by revenge, Jaden Miller went on a rampage, clearing the ring with a steel chair and pinning the second masked individual at a thunderous spinebuster onto the chair. Elimination 4. The third masked individual caught Jaden with a low blow and tried to pin him, but Jaden reverses it, and drops him with the Minecraft slam, and gets the pinfall. Don Callis, and after Jaden's victory, Don Callis trips Jaden as he chases him then spears him down, and Jaden beats the hell out of Callis. Final sequence, it came down to Scott Gale against the final two masked attackers, proving why he is beloved by the fans. Scooter mounted a heroic comeback. He ducked the clothesline, causing one masked man to accidentally strike his own partner. Scooter quickly rolled up the struck mercenary for a pinfall. Along with the final masked man, Scooter shattered a candlestick over his back and hit his finishing maneuver to secure the ultimate hard-fought victory for the Dominant crew. The mastermind behind winner. So Scott Gale gets the final victory, and then after that, the masked The mastermind behind the They Are Coming vignettes shows up on the Titantron and speaks in a distorted voice. And this is what the mastermind said. Oh, Scott, you, Jaden, Jay, and Noah Higgins, you, Jaden Miller, Jay Lawson, Noah Higgins, may have gotten lucky tonight, but it was only pure luck. Well, your luck is going to run out this coming Sunday at Summer Heatwave when you lose to your when lose to your 14 to when you lose to your 16-year-old adopted son, Mischief Mikey Miller. This coming Sunday, your worst nightmare is going to come true when you lose ownership of NWS Revolution and it gets transferred to me. You will no longer have power. And when I reveal myself, it will shock you completely. And the NWS Revolution will die this Sunday. All that you have will be lost, and Scooter St. William will be ancient history. And he does that evil laugh. Farewell, Scooter. The letters they are coming appears on the Tron as an explosion happens, saying death to NWS Revolution. Ooh, that was definitely explosive. What do you think, Michael Cole? What do you think of that, Michael Cole? Tell me. I think it's very poetic and chaotic. I mean, who is this master individual? Why is he stalking Scott Gale? And he is going to be revealed tonight here on MWS Summer Heatwave. Who's it going to the biggest pay per view of this summer? Who is it going to be? We tonight we're gonna find out who is the mastermind. We're finally gonna find out who the mastermind is. And it is gonna shock the universe. And yes, Tony Khan will indeed be at the pay per view tonight. He will be there, and he's got a skybox suite. And then, but anyway, whoever this mastermind is, why is he doing it? Well, we will find out tonight why the mastermind is doing what he's doing. Who's the man behind the mysterious voice? What is his purpose? What is his purpose? And I will be on commentary tonight too with Joe Garley and Dan Lambert because I want to see myself who this mastermind is. And then it's the NWS Wrestling Television closing segment contract signing. Location: NWS Arena and at the OVO Arena in Glasgow, Scotland. In the ring, a black carted ring features a mahogany table, two leather chairs, and the NWS World Heavyweight Champion resting on a pedestal. Joe Gowdy, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our main event segment, the highly anticipated contract signing for the NWS World Heavyweight Championship at Summer Heatwave. Let's head to our special guest ring announcer and timekeeper for that match, the wise man, Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman standing on the timekeeper's table. Paul Heyman standing on the timekeeper's table with a microphone, smiling smugly. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and tonight I have the distinct privilege of introducing to a man who just doesn't woo this company from boardroom from the boardroom, but dominates it from the squared circle. He is your NWS Board of Directors Chairman, your co-owner, and your reigning, defending, undisputed NWS World Heavyweight Champion, Mischief Mikey Miller. Cult of personality hits blares through the speakers as a cascade of boos, scope echoes through the arena. Mischief Mikey Miller walks out wearing a pristine designer suit with no shirt underneath and wearing an ascot underneath his suit. The world title over his shoulder. He is flanked by General Manager Don Callis, who is grinning ear to ear. Dan Abbott, look at the arrogance. Look at the arrogance of the champion. But he has the power, Joe. With Callis in his corner, Heyman, the timekeeper's table, the deck is already stacked. In the ring, Chief of Staff Irish Shren stands with the contract in his hand. He wears a custom referee shirt underneath a formal blazer. Joke on it. And there's the man who will hold the authority at Heatwave. Special guest referee Chief of Staff Irish Shin. He's a corporate stooge, Dan. The music cuts in a heavy country rock riff hits. The crowd erupts into massive cheers as Scott Casey Gale walks out. Beside him is his 14-year-old son, Jaden Miller, looking intensely focused. Scott looks dead serious as they march down the ramp and enter the knowing Dan Levin. And here comes the challenger, Scott Casey Gale. He's got young Jaden in his corner for the Heatwave. Family business is about to be settled in blood. The confrontation. Scott and Jaden stand on one side of the table. Mikey and Don Callis stand on the other side. Ira Schwinn steps between them, laying the contract on the table. Chief of Staff, someone asked me, Ira, order in the ring. As the special guest referee at Summer Heatwave, as a special guest referee at Summer Heatwave, I require both gentlemen to sign this document, legally blinding legally binding you to a last man standing match. Chairman Mischief Mikey Miller, as champion, you have the floor. Mikey Miller signs the contract immediately without breaking eye contact with Scott. He grabs the microphone with a cruel smile on his face. Mr. Mikey Miller, look at you, Scott. He says, look at you, Scott. Look at what you dragged out here to the ring. You brought Jaden out here tonight. You're going to put your 14-year-old son in your corner at summer. You're going to put your 14-year-old son, Jaden, in your corner at summer heatwave. Are you trying to teach him how to be a fader up close? Mikey says on the mic. The crowd boos heavily. Scott steps forward, but Jaden holds his father back and staring a hole for Michael. Jaden keeps holding Scott. He does not let him go. Mr. Mikey Miller, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Dad. Mikey says, you spent my whole life trying to tell me what to do. You wanted me to follow in your footsteps, to be a humble, hardworking guy. But look at me. I am the chairman of the board. I am the cone of NWS Revolution. I am the world heavyweight champion. I outgrew you, Scott. I am everything you've never had the guts to be. Mikey turns his attention directly to Jaden. Mr. Mikey Miller, Jaden, look at the man standing next to you. Take a good look because at Summer Heatwave in the last man standing match, I'm gonna beat our father until he cannot stand up. I'm going to break him. And when the referee, our chief of staff, Ira Schwinn, counts to 10, you are gonna watch your hero collapse. Don't look at him for inspiration, kid. Look at me. I'm the one running this family now. And I will be the new CEO of NWS Revolution. And the mastermind will become the new owner and chairman of NWS Revolution. And you will be Scott Casey Gale, you will be my permanent lap warmer. Mikey shoves the microphone into Scott's chest and then grabs Scott Mikey shoves the microphone into Scott's chest, then grabs Scott by his cheeks, and then Mikey shoves the microphone to Scott's chest, then grabs Scott and plants a kiss on his forehead. The crowd chants Scott, Scott, Scott. The challenger looks down at the contract, picks up the pen, and signs his name in bold strokes. He grabs the microphone. Scott Kiskill. You talk a big game for a kid who hides behind a corporate title, Mikey. You think Don Callis can save you? You think Paul Heyman can rig the clock? You think Ira can give you a fast count when you're unconscious? At Summer Heatwave, there are no pinfalls. There are no submissions. No corporate loopholes. Just me and you and a 10 count. I didn't bring Jaden out here to watch me fail, Mikey. I brought him out here to watch me teach you your final lesson. Scott drops the mic. Mikey steps up, gets right in Scott's face. Don Callis starts barking insults from behind. Suddenly, Mikey tries to throw a cheap shot punch. Scott ducks it perfectly, grabs Mikey by the collar, and unloads a massive hand that sends the champion stumbling back. Joe Gotti, Scott Duggs, right hand to the chairman. Don Callis tries to step. Don Callis tries to step in, but Jaden Miller boldly steps in Callis' way, squaring up. Callis backs off in shock. Mikey scrambles out of the ring, clutching his jaw as Irish Twin quickly moves to shield the champion. On the outside, Paul Heyman gathers the World Heavyweight title and hands it to a furious Mikey Miller. Don Callis holds Mikey back as the corporate faction retreats up the ramp. Dan Lambert says on commentary, the battle lines are drawn. The family is fractured. Joker, Scott Kisageo and Jaden Miller hold the ring. Mischief Mikey Miller escapes tonight. This is what Joe Gotti said. Dan Lambert says, the battle lines are drawn. The family is fractured. Joe Gotti, Scott Kisageo and Jaden Miller hold the ring. Mr. Mikey Miller escapes tonight, but at Summer Heatwave, the NWS World Heavyweight Championship will be decided in a last man standing match. Good night, everyone. The show goes off the air with Scott and Jaden standing tall in the ring, pointing out at an enraged Mikey Miller on the entrance ramp. Oh, tensions. I like what I saw this past Thursday in Revolution Impact. That was definitely intense. And Mikey, how do you feel after Scott punched you in the mouth? How do you feel? How does it make you feel? How does it make me feel? It makes me feel angry, Michael Cole. Tonight, I'm gonna teach my 47-year-old father, Scott Kisageo, a lesson. See, he thinks he's gonna be the last man standing. He thinks he's gonna end my in-ring career. He thinks that. Well. Revenge is a dish best served cold, Michael Cole. And that's exactly what I'm going to get on Scott Kisageo because not only am I going to defeat Scott Kisageo in a last man standing match when Chief of Staff someone asked me, Iowa counts to 10, not only am I going to be still the NWS World Heavyweight Champion, but I will become the new CEO of the NWS Revolution. I will be the new Chief Executive Officer, and the Mastermind will be the new owner and chairman of NWS Revolution. I guarantee you that will happen. And whenever Mr. Mikey, guarantees something, you can take it to the bank. And I would wait this past Revolution Impact 5 stars, 2 thumbs up, way up, and a solid 10 out of 10. Yes, I was ticked off that Scott Kisageo punched me in my mouth while I was wearing a nice custom made suit with a with only an ascot underneath. But you know me, I like showing off my chest. Yes, but don't worry, my Scott Kisageo didn't mess up my suit, and he didn't. He did mess up my ascot a little bit that I had on my neck. But it is what it is. You see, Scott Kisageo, you and Jaden Miller may have gotten the last lap this past Thursday on Revolution Impact, but tonight, I promise you, no, I guarantee you, Mr. Mikey Miller, will get the last lap. Scott Kisageo, because I will be the last man standing, and I will still be the MWS World Heavyweight Champion. The Mastermind will become the new owner and chairman, and he will reveal himself, and I will become the new CEO of the MWS Revolution, the Chief Executive Officer. Great show. Good night, everybody. See you all tonight, Michael Cole. Well, yes, I would wait Revolution Epic 5 stars, 2 thumbs up, way up a solid 10 out of 10. And me and Mr. Mikey Miller later tonight or tomorrow will give you an NWS Heatwave pay-per-view of 2026 review. Anyway, good night everybody and thank you for watching.